Well, good morning, viewers from across the globe. Today is Thursday, July 16th. Two major diplomatic developments putting Nigeria on the global map. President Bola Tinubu will address world leaders at the 81st United Nations General Assembly in New York in September, ending a 2-year absence from the world's most prominent diplomatic gathering. And French President Emmanuel Macron will make a state visit to Nigeria, with this fall actually a visit made even more meaningful by the fact that Macron spent 6 formative months in Nigeria as a student 24 years ago. Let's dive right in. I'm OjyOkpe, and this is what's trending. Before we dive deeper, let's see what you're talking about right now. We've been tracking conversations on X, Facebook, our YouTube live feed, and of course, Leke. And 3 stories are dominating your timelines this morning. Trending at number 1, just days after the Oyo school children were rescued, gunmen have struck again. A principal and 4 students were abducted from government secondary school in Kogi State while writing their NECO examinations on Wednesday. Nigerians are asking, when will schools be safe for our children, while demanding their immediate release? Trending at number 2, a heartbreaking story from the United States. 44-year-old Nigerian Catholic priest, Father Benjamin Madu, has reportedly taken his own life just days before his religious worker visa was due to expire. His final message to his congregation: "My heart is broken, yet my joy remains." We have the details. Trending at number 3, Nigerians are reacting in disbelief to the final forfeiture order of 48 properties linked to former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. The properties, which were initially valued at over 213 billion naira, include hotels, schools, a university, factories, and land across Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Kogi State. Now, here is where you come in. Join the conversation. Use the hashtag What's Trending with OjyOkpe. Comment on our live feed. And of course, Leke. Tell me which of these stories matters most to you. Because for the next hour, we're going into everything that has Nigeria and the rest of the world buzzing. But first, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has announced the Senate's decision to donate 50 million naira to the families of security personnel and teachers killed during the Ogbomoso rescue operation. Let's watch.
We also noted the fact that 3 of the personnel who went for the rescue operations lost their lives in the course of trying to rescue those children. An army lieutenant from Adamawa was killed, a police sergeant was killed, another private soldier was killed, and many were wounded. So on behalf of the Senate, we decided that also the teachers, 2 teachers that were in captivity with the children, were also murdered. So we've taken the motion, we've applauded government, we've applauded the security agencies, and we are pleading that the same be extended to any other part of the country where there may be any Nigerian in captivity. And so today we just felt, after discussion with the leadership, that we want to also support the victims' families. Like the young lieutenant was just 28 years old when he died in that operation. So we are sending a token of 50 million naira to them to be divided into the 5 deceased families. The family of the 2 teachers, the family of the 3 operatives who lost their lives, 10 million each, on behalf of the Senate.
Now, 50 million naira donation is a welcome and commendable gesture from the Senate. However, putting it in full context, 3 military officers, F.A. Isaac, Silas Musa, and Abena John Jerome, and at least 1 teacher gave their lives so that 46 children could come home. What these families truly deserve is a comprehensive welfare package, children's education, fully funded guaranteed healthcare, and a permanent monthly stipend. A one-time donation, however symbolic, must not be the end of Nigeria's obligation to those who paid the ultimate price. Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Bimbai. Good morning, Rufai. How are you this morning? I mean, commendable gesture by the Senate. 50 million naira, I believe that Godswill Akpabio said that it will be divided 10 million naira each. I believe there are 5 families that they're trying to give. But, you know, like I said, I think that Nigeria must continue to support these families that were held in captivity for 56 days. Meanwhile, in a devastating development, just days after Nigeria celebrated the rescue of the Oyo school children, terrorists stormed government secondary school Olowa in Dekina local government area of Kogi State, abducting 4 students, the school principal, and a NECO ad hoc staff member, while candidates were writing their ongoing NECO examinations. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has already responded, declaring the Kogi school attack shows the federal government has failed to protect Nigerian children. Security forces, however, have launched a bushcombing rescue operation, and 1 student has already been rescued. Bimbai, I mean, the Oyo rescue was celebrated just days ago, and now another school has been attacked during exams. This is the 14th school kidnapping since Tinubu came to power. And the question Nigeria must urgently answer is, what is the systematic plan to end this crisis once and for all? We hailed the Oyo rescue operation, and now we hear these. Your thoughts?
And you're asking the right question. What is the plan? Because even while the Oyo captives were being held, we were asking, what is happening with safe schools? And unfortunately, we have these conversations, and not often enough do we see them translate into anything tangible, any tangible reform on the ground. But there's a lot of issues beneath this particular Kogi incident, which is that these students were sitting for an exam in a school that the state had already declared should not be used because of its isolated area. They said that that area was not safe enough. So the state had declared that that school should not be put to use. That's the first issue, is illegal use of premises that has already been declared unsafe. The second issue is that it is alleged that the exam they were sitting may not have even been the authentic exam, that there was some type of arrangement that was put in place for them to come and do this, and that in fact this location has now become notorious for exam malpractice. So you have groups of people who've identified that there are abandoned infrastructure and buildings around, and they're now using it to extort people and to conduct fraudulent activities, taking advantage of these young people who need to write exams. So you see the multiple layers of issues bedeviling this one incident. So we now ask ourselves, when these issues happen and places are abandoned, it goes back to the conversation about undergoverned spaces. Are we just abandoning the places that we say are not safe? And once we just abandon them, what steps are we taking to ensure that a different group with a different, nefarious agenda doesn't come and start abusing those places? So you look at this school, it hasn't been in use, rightfully so, because of its location. However, you now have people taking advantage of that. So it's not enough to say we've left places that were ransacked or there was a security incident in a place, so it was abandoned, because it's now clear that there's also a strategy where, whether it be bandits or terrorists, are also tracking those types of properties, and they're now converting them to use for their own ends, which is, just terribly, terribly, terribly unfortunate. And it just goes back to the issues that we continue to regurgitate, under policing, and we've spoken about them ad infinitum. When are we now going to get to a place that we have the manpower extended in all these areas, because we can't continue to have undergoverned spaces? It's simply a too large a risk, and education, our young, our vulnerable, are those who are highest at the risk of this.
Well, thank you for your submission, Vimbai. And a deeply disturbing development from Plateau State. A father has gone viral, recounting how his wife, 6 children, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter were all killed in a single night by terrorists, as he barely escaped with 1 child. In a clip making the rounds on social media, the man tells the tale of how he barely managed to escape with the child when terrorists arrived at their doorstep last Sunday evening. But the story that set Nigerians truly on fire is the separate video showing a resident alleging that soldiers stationed just 2 kilometers away were unable to respond to the attack because their trucks had no fuel. Let's take a look.
The military were never in charge of the situation here. Honestly, they would have got them not to reach the nearby village to us here. If they were ready, I call the sector commander, the person commanding this checkpoint here. I called him, honestly, just their fuel is finished. They cannot go anywhere. Those people in the checkpoint here, from here, not up to 2 kilometers. Not up to 2 kilometers. Everybody is totally depressed. Seriously depressed. Nobody, if not because of us having the heart that we will not leave this place, this situation would have made us to completely move and leave this place. But if we leave, where can we go? Everybody is seriously affected. Families lost their loved ones, husbands and wives. Children are left without mothers and fathers. All these are things that will never make us to feel that there is anything that is good. Nothing is good before us as it is now.
This is so sad. A father loses 9 family members in one night. And the soldiers 2 kilometers away had no fuel to respond. Nigerians online are calling it outrageous and demanding answers from the Defense Ministry. If this fuel shortage allegation is accurate, it represents a catastrophic failure of military logistics. And the blood of those 9 souls demand accountability. Plateau is bleeding, Dr. Abati. This is so unfortunate. May their souls rest in peace. Your thoughts?
Well, it is tragic. It is also outrageous, as the people have pointed out. And the people who have expressed their outrage, they are in order to do so. 9 members of a family dying just like that. And the assailants were said to have said they wanted to teach the particular gentleman a lesson. So we're dealing with a pressure cooker style kind of society where anything is always at a boiling point. 9 persons killed. How does a man again regain hope in this country? And in fact, one of the persons that was killed was a 3-month-old baby belonging to the brother of the man. So Nigeria definitely has failed this person. And that was why we made the point that, look, it's not enough to rescue people from Orire local government. That in fact, the Orire local government area incident itself is a reminder for the government of Nigeria to realize that the battle against violence, against conflict, has not yet come to an end, and that there is a lot more to do, and there's a lot more people to be rescued and to be protected in various parts of the country. And that was why when you say, oh, Senator Bamidele says for state police, there will be first-line charge. No, the issue is even far more complex than funding. It is also about tradition, about attitudes. Now, the agency involved that did not respond is called Operation Enduring Peace, STF, Operation Enduring Peace in Plateau State. Now that operation is not providing any enduring peace. It's a very negligent operation, and that should be investigated. They said they had no fuel in their vehicles. But after the terrorists, the assailants, the murderers had left, they suddenly showed up in the same vehicles. Where did they get the fuel from? So that's why I say, you know, it's a very complex situation dealing with accountability, abdication of responsibility. And I think that this particular incident should be investigated by the relevant authorities. Who is in charge of operation enduring safe endurance? Who is in charge of fuel, logistics? Who is that officer who said that they had no fuel? But fuel came like manna from heaven after the murderers had made good their escape.
Really.
So this is what makes the situation so embarrassing,
devastating,
and so offensive.
Absolutely.
And so much of a reminder that government still needs to do a lot more.
They need to do a lot more. Again, may their souls rest in peace. I just would like to highlight this story for you to just chime in, Rufai. We have a devastating story out of Massachusetts. A Nigerian Catholic priest has died days after being ordered to return home to Nigeria, a country he had repeatedly said he feared going back to. Reverend Benjamin Okwi Madu has served as a hospital chaplain and parish priest on Cape Ann since 2021, with his religious worker visa due to expire on July 29th. Well, according to the Boston Globe, Madu's home diocese in Abakaliki had instructed him to return even sooner. And the Sunday before he died, a parishioner says he suffered a panic attack while driving to Mass. The Boston Archbishop later confirmed to fellow priests that Madu had taken his own life on July 2nd. May his soul rest in peace. Police say his death is under investigation, and this story is hitting hard with Nigerian diaspora and Catholic communities alike. I mean, we see this story about this priest, not basically saying not wanting to come to Nigeria. We don't know the circumstances surrounding his suicide, but, Nigerians are reacting, with outrage, saying even a priest doesn't want to return home. Your thoughts?
Please, if you're having suicidal thoughts, you can get help by look for any, suicide-related agencies and NGOs, that can talk to you. Your life is more important to us. But what are the problems? Why doesn't he want to come to Nigeria? Because there's a lot of killing. There's a lot of swallow. And that's why when somebody was saying yesterday, oh my God, that those are earning 60,000 naira here better than those living abroad. Is it with the level of killing? Is it with what is happening in Plateau? Oji, do you know that in that Plateau State, President Tinubu said after the killings that happened that he visited them? Anyway, he didn't visit them because he stayed in the airport and he was watching the time for them. What a way to empathize with people. And he left. He said nothing like that will happen again. Do you know how many people have been killed since then? A lot of people. So what do you want the priest to come back home for? You think a lot of people that leave the country is only because of financials? It's because of security. I know people that are well-to-do in this country, they've been kidnapped twice. The trauma alone, they've left the country. Yesterday, I was saying something, Dr. Abati, that even dollar billionaires, most of them live their time abroad. I've seen a couple of them in this country. And when you ask the question, they say, oh, my health care, economic, situation, social circumstance, quality of life. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. So I can imagine what went through this priest's mind. But suicide wasn't the solution. Christianity preaches about hope and everything. So I feel for him, and I think he should be investigated. But please, suicide is not the way forward. But as regards that, in fact, I should give kudos to equipping the saints, equipping the persecuted. I was asking Mr. Farouk about Christian genocide, and he said it's not happening in Nigeria. And I was just laughing at him. So this village, people that are killed in this Jos, what are they? Are they not Christians? Why are they being persecuted? The military didn't respond. How would they respond, Oji? Let me read this very interesting story to you.
Go ahead.
336.7 billion was budgeted for defense equipment. Only 16.7 billion, 4.9% was released. Specifically, the Nigerian Army received
4.9%.
Yeah. Specifically, the Nigerian Army received just 1.46 billion, 7.11% of its 20.56 billion allocation for purchasing security equipment. So there's a case of underfunding. There's also a case of complicity. Complicity because why we say, oh, they are not giving enough money. How did they find their way to the venue after the incident has happened? Oji, it was in the same country, some people ordered the military that were protecting the school, the girls' school in Kebbi, to leave.
Kogi State,
and after they left, the attack happened. So the people that they are killing in Jos, they are not Christians, Abi. So when you kill a Christian family in a mass number, it's not Christian persecution. When you kill people with their religious creed, it's not genocidal in nature. I know a lot of people, they hate to hear that word. It's not genocide. Don't say it's genocide. You see, it's go and read the genocide law. What did they say? Intent. Genocide didn't even say kill. It said intent. So, but you see, people will argue. You know why? Because people like to deflect the truth. And that's why we thank God for what is it called, like equipping and saying, Oji, if it's you and I, as journalists in Nigeria, that go there and interview those people, they say we are propaganda agents.
All right.
You saw how they tag Reverend Ezekiel, that Jomo. They tagged him all sorts of names. So you can't argue with evidence. What are they going to do about this?
Yeah, Father Ezekiel actually recently lost family members. I saw that story trending. Yes, my heart goes out to his family and to the families of those who have lost loved ones. May their souls rest in peace.
Amen.
Now let's head over to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, where reactions are trailing the inauguration of 20 fully furnished 5-bedroom duplexes for judges by Minister Nyesom Wike, who boldly declared that President Tinubu's administration will build even more houses for judges. Speaking during the inauguration on Wednesday, Wike addressed his critics directly, pointing to the new judges' quarters and declaring that the quarters were built on the very land he was accused of grabbing. Let's take a look.
We're not going to stop here. We're going to build more houses for the judges of the FCT. I know that the number is such that we can't carry all at the same time. I believe that before the first tenure of Mr. President expires, we would have gone far in the construction of 20 more houses for the judges of the FCT High Court. But you see, I have to say this. In every position we occupy, we are bound to have criticisms. Leadership is not easy. Leadership is not only when things are good. Leadership is also when things are bad. Where you have now, I'm sure most of you would have read on social media when I was being accused of grabbing land. This is part of the land I was grabbing. It's part of the land I was grabbing. When you're in a position and you want to do the right thing, people will come out to say all kinds of things. But for us, we must continue to be focused and do our job.
All right, Dr. Abati. The land Wike was accused of grabbing is now housing judges who serve millions of Nigerians. This has sparked fierce reactions online, with Nigerians debating whether housing judges makes them more independent or simply more indebted. And I'll take some reactions before I come to you on X. Labama wrote, providing decent housing for judges is important for judicial independence and retaining quality talent in the system. That said, in a country with severe housing deficits and high rent in Abuja, the government must equally prioritize affordable homes for civil servants, teachers, and ordinary citizens. True governance balances institutional support with people-focused development. Kudos on the delivery, but let's expand the scope. Well, Dog wrote, foolish decision. Are judges the only government workers? What is significantly different compared to other professionals like medical doctors, nurses, etc.? Giving them houses in detriment to other professionals is aimed at using judges to rig elections. Money wrote, is building houses for judges not an official form of bribery? In which world does a government build houses for judges who are supposed to be independent of the executive? If you build a house for them, will they be bold enough to make a judgment against you? The answer is no. I'm sure you saw those beautiful duplexes yesterday, Dr. Abati. I think we carried it live here on Arise TV. They were, basic mansions I saw for the judges. But you also had Minister Wike there saying that I've been accused of land grabbing. This is what I used the land for. Your thoughts?
Okay, I mean, whoever owns the land in trust for the state under the Land Use Act can also revoke the allocation, provided it is used in public interest. But you can argue about that, whether providing quotas for judges is in the public interest or not. That's that side of it. However, you see, as far back as 2014, the Nigerian government, the federal government, decided to make the emoluments, salaries, recurrent expenditure of the judiciary a first-line charge on the Consolidated Revenue Fund. What it means is that to enhance the independence of the judiciary will not have to rely on the budget provided by the executive for its own salaries, emoluments, and for its own recurrent expenditure. How have we managed that? Now, that has failed, particularly at the state levels, because these state governments, they collect, they get the revenue from the federal government, first line charge, and then, of course, they don't make provision for the judiciary. Or there is a problem with the management of it, some controversy in that regard, which has led to, you know, is it Jokon or Josong, whatever they call that union within the judiciary, having to protest. So, and this now, at the federal level, you have the Federal Capital Territory now saying, well, consolidated, first charge on consolidated revenue fund or not, we are providing accommodation for judges to facilitate their work. And that is also what has given rise to people saying, why are you building houses for them? If they have first line charge, why don't they build their own, provide for their own accommodation? I think we have to take a second look at how that first line charge has been managed and what has led to a situation where our judiciary has found itself in the beggarly situation where accommodation will have to be provided. Now, Minister Wike made the point yesterday that they will build more mansions for the judges. The 20 mansions that were commissioned yesterday, they were for judges at the Federal High Court. The judges at the Appeal Court, if I were a justice of the Appeal Court, as many of my old classmates are, you know, I will also think I deserve this kind of mansion. And then Supreme Court justices, they will also want their own. But, you know, perception is also part of it. You know, people will look around and they will say, well, this is to influence judges. But that then raises questions about the integrity of the judges and the justices themselves, because professionally they are expected to be impartial unto death. They are expected to be above board like Caesar's wife and to dispense justice without fear or favor. The Nigerians, knowing themselves, are saying, well, if you give this kind of beautiful house to a judge, will he still behave like the blindfolded, lady of justice with the scales? So, but this is Nigeria, so people also have their right to raise such questions. But as for welfare of judges, I think judges need to be well taken care of. They need to be given, good environment to work. But who does that? Is the question. Oh, really? Who provides it? What are the circumstances? These are the questions.
All right,
and that's why Nigerians are suspicious.
Yeah, so many dimensions to the story. And I'd like to tie this in, Bimbai. Maybe you can discuss both as well. Well, still in Abuja, Nigerians are reacting in disbelief to the final forfeiture order of 48 properties linked to former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. The properties, which were initially valued at over 213 billion naira, include hotels, schools, a university, factories, and land across Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Kogi State. The judge in the case ruled that the EFCC successfully established reasonable suspicion that the properties were acquired using proceeds of unlawful activities and that Malami and the linked companies failed to prove otherwise. This is such a dicey case. I mean, the sort of forfeiture without a conviction is raising eyebrows, a lot of conversations. And it's about the sheer scale here, which is staggering. We're talking about a private university, several hotel chains, factories, and even a filling station, all traced back to one former Attorney General of the Federation. And I'll take some reactions. Kenny wrote on X, "This is exactly why Nigeria continues to struggle. The level of corruption and looting by the elite and public officials is staggering. It has destroyed our education, healthcare, and economy, making real progress nearly impossible. People like Malami have stolen massive wealth and walked free. Many are still doing it today and may never be held accountable, while others are just waiting for their turn. The only reason Malami's case came out was because he was exposed." Mary wrote on X, "EFCC, please, I have a question. Everything you've been recovering, that everyone has been forfeiting, including abachas, what happens to them? An average Nigerian does not feel the impact of this recovery, or is it a case of Olegbe, Olegba, Olegba?
Thief collect them, thief carry them from.
Who is buying? Who is buying? I know the Olegba. I mean, this is just
government official.
This is the question out there.
Relooting looted.
No, it's actually really outrageous and frustrating for a lot of Nigerians that don't feel the impact of this amount of money that has been forfeited.
The government has said they will fight corruption.
Corruption. The one before was corruption, and now more corruption. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you know, especially after just a few days after doing a report about trying people before they're on trial, he's yet to be. Thank you. So a man who's yet to be convicted, I want to ensure that we don't subject him to the court of public opinion. However, there are receipts here, and that is in there. Yes, I mean the evidence of, you know, these forfeitures have happened. Now, the part of the conversation here is that not all of these properties belong to him. Some are linked to him, and the EFCC has come out to say that the justification for this is that anything that they feel was procured with illicit funding is a subject of interest in this. So also to clarify that some of them are related to him, but I mean, we're not here, he's got able lawyers, I'm not here to help him. The question around this is, how is it that when somebody, for example, is the Minister of Justice or is at the helm of all of these huge organizations, it's usually just the head of the principal we see rolling? What happens inside the institution? Why is it that we're not seeing civil servants who are also being tried? Because you can't tell me that a minister can remove money from an entire ministry by himself. So we want to make sure that there's an institutional cleanup. It's like when you look at the NNPC, we look at Melekiari, we look at all these figures, but where's the institutional cleanup to support these operations? So several heads must roll. If we're saying that this evidence exists and this was happening within the ranks of the Ministry of Justice, it's possible that those civil servants who work in this ministry, who facilitated for this kind of largesse to escape their coffers, are still working there and will create a similar system when a new person comes into office. So there needs to be a move away from scapegoatism, because it's almost like the case of PFIPC, where the DG has now become the face of the case, the scapegoat. But we all know the number of institutions that needed to have been complicit for such a crime to have been able to be committed in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I think for me, that's the first culture that I want to ensure that let's begin a culture where we say that, yes, the head of the face must be questioned, that head must roll. But deeper down in the institution, are we doing the work to make sure that the smaller hands or the smaller fries who facilitate for this kind of scandal and corruption are also brought to book or have their names cleared, whatever the case may be? Because, of course, this trial is not conclusive. Now, let me move on to the case of, Abuja and housing for judges and so forth. Because, like Oji, you're rightfully saying, how are these forfeitures then used for the public good? We don't really get to to follow the money trail. And now, when I link it to the issue of the housing for the judges, I think it's a formidable initiative. But the question is, let these initiatives that are supposed to cushion people not become elitist in nature. Because Nigeria has over 20 million housing deficit. So as we're building for judges, why are we not also building for the common man who is entitled to also have some type of state-created land? I know they had started a number of projects in different parts of the country, but not much progress has been made through the Ministry of Housing. So if we're going to cushion, the elite in society, we also have to be sure that we're cushioning the most vulnerable in society so that they also have a dignified place to call home. And maybe some of these hotels and factories and so forth can provide businesses. The hotels can, provide jobs and can provide accommodation, whatever it may be the case. But this needs to translate into something for the common and public good.
All right, perfect. And then I'd like to just highlight this trending video. I mean, the video has gone viral, showing Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who is now facing a firestorm online after a video of his eye-popping car convoy exploded across social media. In the video, which surfaced on Wednesday, sirens are heard blaring as a fleet of vehicles roll into a renewed hope event. Let's take a look. All right, this video, what did you say? What did you say?
Everybody, Senate President, OjyOkpe, Babami, Maybach Mercedes, you are the man.
I felt like I was watching Coming to America. Do you remember that scene of Coming to America? I mean, but Rufai, this video, the backlash has been swift and brutal. Nigerians online are calling it a jaw-dropping, tone-deaf display of power and privilege, while everyday citizens struggle just to survive. And you can understand why Nigerians are reacting this way. I mean, I feel like it's been, this way for a while, but it's hard for Nigerians to see that, especially now. Your thoughts?
OjyOkpe, Senate President, enjoy your life. You are the man of the moment. Agbabola, Udogu, shop Nigerian money, shop and where. I'm hailing him. You see, Oji, I don't know how to cry again. And I don't want to exercise my, what do they call it now, Dr. Abati? Give me the word. Is it called lacrimal gland? I don't want to exercise my lacrimal gland because of fleeting circumstances. But Oji, I just want to drop a quote. And that quote will cut across Malami, all the looting, and this man that has been given this position, and they decide to live life this way. Oji, a country that values privilege over purpose will soon lose the privilege and purpose. That's where Nigeria is headed. We've become a country that values privilege of office rather than the purpose of office to better the lots of people. And a country like that will sink in no time. Within a premises, you have about 3 outriders. Then you are coming at a convoy and all of that. In a country, Oji, that over 80 million people struggle to get access to electricity. In a country where 79%, about 80% of the population is near poverty, 61% already in poverty, 31% in ultra poverty. In a country where children between the age of 5 to 14, about close to 80% of them cannot read effectively. It's in that same country, a very poor country, that the leader of the Senate is driving a Maybach Mercedes. Can you please Google the price of that Maybach? And I'm sure that Maybach is a bulletproof Maybach. It can never be anything less than a bulletproof Maybach. So it is a country that values privilege over purpose. But you see, that country will soon lose both the privilege and the purpose and its essence. And you see, every day we'll come and exercise our glands here every day, our tear glands. because of what Nigeria has become. So I'm not surprised. Ajekpe Babami, enjoy yourself.
Dr. Martin,
you are the man of the moment.
Did you just make a quick comment about the convoys that we see here quickly before we move?
Okay, just to say that the concern of most Nigerians is about conspicuous consumption of our leaders. We have made the point this morning about how Operation Enduring Peace in Plateau had no fuel to go and rescue people who were going to be killed and who had asked for help. They only showed up after fuel came like manna from heaven. Definitely, the convoy of the Senate president will be fueled. They won't have any problem going to anywhere they are going. So, and that's why people talk about putting the people first, making sure that the people are the first line in terms of every consideration. After all, Section 4, Sub 3, Sub 4 of the Constitution talks about the responsibility of the legislature is to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation or any part thereof. And this Nigerian legislature over the years continues to fail in that regard. And that's why the people complain.
Yes.
The second part of it, of course, is that, the ostentation may, run against some people's temperament, having up to about 4 or 5 dispatch riders. What is their job? But there's also the issue about the safety of principal officers of state, whether it's the president or members of their family, or is the vice president, or is the Senate president. In a country like this, where there is a lot of insecurity, the security of the principal officers of state is also important. But to what degree? How expansive, how elaborate should it be? That, I think, is the source of concern. But that we have to ensure the security of principal officers who have become technically properties of the Nigerian state. I think we must also carry that along as the other side of the story.
All right. Can we shake the table up a little bit more? Just a little more fun. Let's take the story now showing the president's son, Seyi Tinubu, who was seen showing up some of his best dance moves at the national retreat for the City Boy movement this week. During the retreat in Abuja, Seyi was seen dancing to Fuji musician King Wasiu Ayinde Marshal. Correct? Let's take a look.
Wọ́n ṣá nígbẹ̀yìngbẹ̀yìn èrè lọ́lọ́jà jẹ́ Àyìndé èrè lọ́lọ́jà jẹ́ ẹ má jèrè. City Boy movement barrister Ṣèyí mi ọmọ Tinubu mi ó ní kí gbogbo lé. Ọ̀kan lọ́mọ gbogbo Yorùbá. Lórúkọ pírẹsidẹ́ǹtì Aṣíwájú ẹ̀yin ọ̀dọ́ Nàìjíríà o.
Rufai, I saw your friend there. I saw your friend dancing there. But of course, the retreat.
I'm a fan of Kwamwan.
I know. That's why I'm coming to you with the story. But I mean, really about what the retreat was sought to do. It was sought to call for stronger grassroots engagement, greater youth participation, and a target of 10 million votes for President Bola Tinubu in 2027. I mean, this is Seyi Tinubu canvassing for votes for his dad. City Boy, I told you City Boy movement wasn't going to die.
Village boys will answer, don't worry.
I think with due respect, you should, but they have a right to canvass. I mean, it's politics and all of that. But my advice for them is that 10 million votes is too small. They should increase the number to 20 million votes. Yaradua, how many votes? He got 23, 24 million votes in the election. Why can't they increase the number to the target to 20 million? They should times 2 the number.
Other groups will be doing that.
No. They should just put it 24 million. Okay, my friend, Governor Okpe, will say we'll give her many.
He said what? Was it 2 million?
2 million. Say we'll give her
groups, the numbers will
I think other governors, so they will give about 1 million to 2 million. But you should put a number like 20 million. That's just my advice for them.
They've not done anything illegal.
Yes, now.
And I must note that Seyi Tinubu dances very well. Maybe one of these days we should start pushing for a dancing competition for all the dancing people involved in Nigerian politics, including the governors. And by the way, you know, events like this add color to the process, and provide entertainment and amusement. But what I do not know is about people calling figures who deliver these millions of votes and all of that. It's the Nigerian people who should be given the opportunity to exercise their franchise. And it is INEC, the umpire, that should at the end of the day say, this is what we have been able to collate, not for people to prejudge the process. The power of the people to make an informed and free choice is what we should emphasize. People can dance, they can they can have retreats, but let the people decide.
All right, 10 million votes.
And they didn't
10 million.
To perform Balenciaga.
Balenciaga.
I hope he performed it.
But I mean, this is it. Politics season is on. I thought just to make, you know, cheer the viewers up with the dance moves. But now let's highlight this clip that has been trending all week, garnering hundreds of thousands of views on X alone. In an interview on School of the Hard Knocks, the Nigerian entrepreneur Olowa speaks about how he became a multimillionaire at just 23 years old. Let's take a look.
Excuse me, sir. Sir.
Yes.
How old were you when you became a millionaire?
How do you know I was a millionaire?
I heard every billionaires all over the world. You look like a billionaire.
I was 23.
And how did you get rich?
Do you know what a unicorn is? A unicorn is a company that grows to $1 billion valuation.
Did you build $1 billion company?
I actually built $2 billion companies.
Are you serious?
Yes. Right here from Lagos, Nigeria.
Could I interview you for a minute?
Absolutely.
Why did you become a business owner?
You know the really funny thing? I watched The Social Network. And actually, full circle, Mark Zuckerberg ended up investing in my first $1 billion company.
Zuckerberg invested in you?
Yes.
You built $2 billion companies. What was your secret to scaling?
Well, it's all about systems. And one day, my mentor, also a billionaire, takes me out to dinner and he says, I want you to remember this. $1 billion company is just a bunch of people who could have individually built $10 million businesses who decided to come together and build one business.
It's the team.
Exactly, it's the team. Because there's one piece of advice that I never also forget. It says, two poor men cannot help each other. It's the law.
You got to get some rich friends is what you're saying.
Well, make money for your friends and you'll never have to worry about money in your life.
The more money you make other people, the more money you're going to make yourself.
Simple.
Do you have any networking advice for people?
The biggest advice for networking is serve people. How can I help? Those 4 words are the most powerful words in the world.
Don't be a taker.
Don't be a taker. Give, 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 and eventually it will be given unto you.
Have you done business in America as well?
Yeah. All my companies are incorporated in Delaware.
What's the biggest difference doing business in America versus Nigeria?
Very interesting. The difference in Nigeria, if you don't make other people money, you don't get to make money. In America, if you don't make money, you can't make other people money.
How old are you now?
I'm 35.
And if me and you died tomorrow and you could leave one more message with the younger generation, what would that be?
Build. At one point, people just didn't believe $1 billion companies could come from this part of the world. But look at God.
Build. I mean, I want to congratulate this young man. And I thought to highlight this video to inspire our young generation. 23 years old, he became a billionaire. And I'll read this story now to tie everything together. Now, let's highlight this story following the outrage over xenophobic attacks in South Africa and calls for South Africa-owned companies to be sanctioned in Nigeria. A big shakeup has been announced. DSTV is no longer South African-owned. The French media giant Canal Plus has completed its acquisition of MultiChoice, the parent company behind DSTV, GoTV, and Showmax, in a deal worth $3 billion, making it one of the largest media takeovers in African history. Meanwhile, the leader of the opposition economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, in a now trending video, is seen celebrating Nigerian economic and entertainment industries. In the clip, which surfaced across social media platforms on Wednesday, Malema hails Nigerians for working tirelessly to develop their industries. Let's take a look.
The banks in Nigeria are owned by black Nigerians. They own properties. Nigerians in that entertainment industry, they are not competing with South Africa. They are competing with America. When you see a Nigerian artist, when you see a music video of a Nigerian, you will mistaken it for Americans. They are moving. You are busy with machete. People are working on themselves. People are beginning to appreciate that there is nothing better about America. Africa is more beautiful and more richer than America. Even here in Africa, we can do it.
Yes. We can do it. Such an inspiring conversation.
You can see how Julius Malema is talking about how Nigerians are doing it back to back.
Yes,
we can't compare ourselves. We now with America. All of everything we are doing, you know, we are being innovative just like America.
Yes.
Nigerians are owning banks. They are doing well in entertainment and everything in America.
And in tech, like Ian.
Go ahead, like Rufai. You were talking about Olowa and all of those. I wanted you to tie everything in together.
So he has got an amazing story. Creator. I remember when I first interviewed Inye. I think around 2012, 2013. I used to do a show then, you know, for Fidelity Bank or Fidelity SME Forum, and he came to tell the story of Andela. I think around that period was when it was, you know, he had that big injection by Mark Zuckerberg and everything, and obviously hit billionaire stars, and then he went ahead, created Flutterwave, started with Flutterwave and all of that, and that's why, you know, he's a double unicorn. These two companies now have done in the billion mark, and he keeps, you know, pushing the envelope and everything and all of that. So great inspiration to a lot of young people, great guy. I don't agree with his politics most of the time, don't get me wrong. You know, I don't agree with most parts of his politics, but you cannot bring down what he has been able to achieve in the business ecosystem. Absolutely. And that's
Rufai,
just
your comment, and Dr. Patti, I'll take your comment on both stories.
I mean, mine is very quickly. I just have a takeaway, which is, you know, we saw sort of the ostentatious nature, the displays that we normally see from our leaders and politicians. And one thing about Inye, who's built two unicorns, is that he's a simple guy. He's one of the simplest, most understated people you'll meet. You won't see him coming and think these billions around. And it tells a story about, you know, people who are committed to building, are ready to make the sacrifice and tighten their belts. They don't spend too much time on unnecessary luxuries. They focus on doing the work. So maybe there's a lesson to be learned there about just keeping things simple and modest while we do the work, you know, until we get to that point economically where, you know, all of us can be as grand as we please. But I think, you know, the mood right now in the nation requires us to just temper it down. And quickly, Julius Malema, my comrade Julius.
My comrade
Julius. I'm always rooting for him.
Comrade of our time, Dr. Patti.
Just important for us to remember that we're doing well.
I relate to the Inyola Aboyeji interview in terms of some cogent lessons that came out of that short interaction. First, he said, look at God. And there are many Nigerians who will say, look, there is a God factor, because sometimes you just find favor and you look like you are a genius. But the thing is just that it's the Lord's favor. You know, it's just chance, it's opportunity. Two, he talked about how he was supported by Mark Zuckerberg with Andela. And from Andela, he also did Flutterwave. I think that's also important. He made the point that two poor people cannot create wealth. You will just be swimming in mystery. But he got support. Three, he made the point about team. He said it's about team. Yeah, teamwork. You know, if you come together, you have a good team, you also will produce results. And that's instructive. In other words, he's saying it's not just him. It's he and his partners. So oftentimes, many Nigerians are delusional. You think you are such a genius. That's why you are progressing. But in actual fact, you know, businesses are the products of the quality of people that make that business. So those are the lessons that I take from him. And he even said, poor people cannot come together. He says, you have to get a push.
Yes.
He said, it is the law.
It is.
From his experience. Well, so case study in business.
Right.
That will be. As for Julius Malema,
yes,
say he was talking about black Nigerians. We don't have black Nigerians. We are all dark-skinned here. Because when I watched that video, he said, black Nigerians are doing very well. But he was condemning the xenophobia.
I think that's the context.
And what has now happened in South Africa is that, do you know that after driving people away from Malawi, from Mozambique, from Zimbabwe, do you know that they are now turning against each other?
Yes.
People from Limpopo
it was only
are now saying they don't want people from other parts in their own place. They should go. So it's, you know, it's the poor turning against themselves.
Fantastic.
But we appreciate the fact that Malema is broad-minded enough to realize that Nigerians are doing very well.
Nigeria, no, they carry
and he has told his own South Africans to improve themselves.
That's it.
To develop their own talents.
And stop
instead of being afraid of outliers from Nigeria.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for your submission. Now under Milestones, today we celebrate a titan of Nigerian journalism, politics, and public service, Chief Olusegun Oshoba, former governor of Kogi State and veteran journalist who marks his 87th birthday. Chief Oshoba began his extraordinary career as a journalist, rising through the ranks of the Nigerian Tribune before entering politics as one of the most enduring figures of Nigeria's progressive movement. Born on July 15, 1939 in Osogbo, Oshoba attended African Church School, Osogbo, before proceeding to Methodist Boys High School, Lagos. He obtained a diploma in journalism at the University of Lagos, went on a Commonwealth Press Union scholarship to the United Kingdom in 1967, studied at Indiana University in the United States in 1969, and in 1974 won the prestigious Nieman Fellowship for Journalism at Harvard University, becoming the first Nigerian ever to win that award. He served twice as governor of Kogi State from 1992 to 1993, and again from 1999 to 2003, earning the title the journalist across both careers. President Tinubu has penned a deeply personal tribute, describing him as a brother in purpose, saying that behind the titles, the pen, and the politics stands a man whose first instinct is always to serve. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Congratulations, a journalist who became a governor and a governor who never forgot what journalism taught him. Aremo Chief Olusegun Oshoba is proof that a life lived with character and consistency leaves a legacy that no title can equally capture. Happy 87th birthday to Chief Oshoba. Well, meanwhile, Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani has sent warm felicitations to Prince Nduka Obaigbena, describing him as a patriot and humanist whose unwavering belief in Nigeria has never faltered, as the Duke marked his 67th birthday and the 40th anniversary of This Week magazine. Huge congratulations to both titans of journalism. On that note, I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending Today. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending Today. Here we have Celebration, the classic from Kool and the Gang. Enjoy it, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Celebration time, come on.